All right, I want to talk today about the best way to balance your hormones. So while you can take supplements, there's other strategies to balance your hormones and your thyroid. At the core, the best thing you can do is focus on what you're eating on a daily basis, because that is what has the most consistent effect on your thyroid and your hormones in general. So the best place to start with that is the first meal of the day. Fueling up on foods that are going to balance your blood sugar, soothe your adrenal glands, and create just a calming and balanced effect for your thyroid and your hormones. So I want to share some 5-minute breakfast ideas that you can start with that really, once you get it down, do just take minutes a day, and you can experiment with them and try different variations, but hopefully this just gives you a snapshot of some ideas. So the first one, for this, I am using coconut wraps, which I love coconut. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, so if you don't like them, you could swap it for a gluten-free bread, a gluten-free English muffin, another gluten-free wrap. If you're not sure why gluten-free is important for thyroid health, check out my website. There's blog posts on that, or ask me personally. I'll be happy to answer some questions that you have there. On this wrap, I like to add some nut butter. Almond butter is my favorite. You can also do pecan butter, walnut butter. There's so many variations besides just typical peanut butter. Sometimes peanuts are associated with allergies and can cause problems for people, so it's a safer bet is to do something like almond butter, which has a lot of other nutrients that are great for your thyroid and your overall health. So I like to put some nut butter on there. I like to add bananas, so I already have some cut up here to sweeten it a little bit. And then I also like to add hemp seeds. So if you've never had hemp seeds before, I know it's kind of a strange food, but they are like little multivitamins almost. They have zinc, they have magnesium, they have omega-3 fatty acids, which are great for inflammation. They have protein, they have fiber. They're just so many good things. They just have a really subtle nutty taste, so you can sprinkle them on salads or put them in something like this. I like to put some cinnamon on it for some flavor. This is where you can kind of get creative, and you could add like cacao powder if you wanted some chocolate on there. And really this kind of reminds me of a breakfast crepe, and I roll it up into a little roll, and it's like a little sweet breakfast burrito. Of course, if you use bread or an English muffin, it's going to have different texture, but really it's a great way to just load up a ton of things on there. And really that takes probably 3 minutes to fit together, and you're good to go. So there's one option. The other one is a green smoothie, and personally I do this almost every morning. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now and rarely miss a day, and definitely notice my energy level if I do miss my green smoothie. So some of the hesitations that I hear for people trying green smoothies, one is that they're not going to like the taste. Obviously that is kind of weird to add greens to what's typically a sweet smoothie, but I promise you that if you get the right combination of fruit and the ingredients that you're adding in there, you can find a combination that you do like, and you might have to just experiment with that a little bit, but I am a firm believer that there is a green smoothie out there for everyone, and I encourage you to not give up or just write it off because you don't think it's going to taste good. The other hesitation can be that you're not going to feel full on a green smoothie, and I can definitely understand that. Especially when you're starting out, you may be used to a heavier breakfast of like eggs or something like that. And what you can do is just have your green smoothie first and then have something heavier about 30 minutes later. You do want to wait 20 to 30 minutes before having something else, because the fruit in this smoothie digests so much quicker than like a protein source or something like that, and so it can cause digestion and bloating if you eat them at the same time. Of course, if you have to, it's not the end of the world, but for optimal digestion, you'll want to wait a little bit before you add something else. So you could even have the smoothie, and then if 30 minutes later you could have the wrap or something else of your choosing. So don't let that deter you from trying a green smoothie. Find something that works for you. I have lots of ideas. If you're completely stuck, I would love to give you some more combinations to experiment with. Okay, the last one is an oat combination, and I know that oatmeal can seem really boring, and for a lot of years I didn't eat oatmeal because it just seemed like a boring breakfast and not that flavorful. So I want to show you a way that I've started having this almost daily, and it's been really enjoyable. So this is kind of the finished product here. I'm going to break down how I did this. So I start with gluten-free oats. Now, oats are typically gluten-free, but they're often produced in a facility that makes other gluten-containing foods, and so you have a risk of cross-contamination. So I recommend buying the oats that are actually labeled gluten-free, because then you don't have to worry about that. So, let's see if I can do this without spilling, but I'm just going to put some of these oats in these little mason jars. These are my favorite size to use for this kind of thing. Spilling all over the place. So I'm just going to put a few in so you can see. I would usually fill it up probably about halfway because you're going to be adding water or almond milk to it. You don't want to fill it up too full. Another thing that I put in there is about 1 to 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, which very much like the hemp seeds, these have magnesium, they have minerals, they have fiber, they also have the omega-3s that are great for inflammation. So just jam-packed with nutrition. So I'll just put a few in there. And you'll notice that when you add the liquid and they soak for a little bit, these chia seeds completely change texture. They become much easier to digest for your body to utilize the nutrients when they're soaked. So it's a good idea to do that. I also like to add shredded coconut to this, and you don't have to do this if you're not a fan, but I like the texture that it gives. Make sure you are buying unsweetened coconut, because a lot of times the coconut that you buy in the baking section has added sugar, and that's definitely something that we want to avoid. I also like to add a little bit of vanilla powder for a little bit of flavor. You could also, if you wanted a chocolatey flavor, you could add some unsweetened chocolate chips, or very minimal sugar added to the chocolate chips if you can't do just straight dark, I understand. And then I'll also typically mash up a banana or cut up a banana and put that in there. I'm not going to put that in right now. I like to wait until I'm getting ready to eat it just so it stays fresh, but I've done it both ways, and you can do whatever is easiest for you. And then I'll just add some water and fill it up a little bit above, because you want to give it time, you want to give it room to, the oats and the chia seeds are going to absorb that water and expand, so you want to make sure there's room for that. And then I'll put the lid on. And what you could do is just make sometimes I'll make 7 of these at a time. It just takes a couple more minutes to do that, and then you have breakfast for the entire week. So there you go. There is an idea. You could add so many other things to this. You could add cinnamon, you could add a sweetener, a natural sweetener if you wanted it to be more sweet. It's totally up to you. So I hope that gives you some ideas. You are by no means limited to these. These are just some of my go-tos that I wanted to share with you that really do take less than 5 minutes once you get the hang of it. If you are needing more in-depth thyroid guidance, then feel free. A great place to start is my Beginner's Blueprint to Thyroid Balance online course, which is a 5-module self-paced course that gives you all of the components that you need to know for balancing your thyroid holistically, and you can learn more about that at www.holisticthyroidsolutions.com.